have you covered. They provide regular scheduled and emergency visits for residential and commercial property. Want to be pest-free? Call Corey Lee at 228-8717 or visit CoreyLeePest.com. Well, hey, everyone. I hope everyone is having a good night tonight. I'm pretty excited. Been a couple weeks since I've been in here. This is Writing on Air, and we'll go ahead and make sure that I have my two hosts with me, Brandon and Kylene. How you guys doing?
Hello.
I'm doing really well. How are you?
Good, good. Let me see if I can turn you guys up here a bit. Perfect. All right. Well, for those of you who don't know the show allows writers to submit pieces and then have them read on air, and not really analyzed, but kind of just looked at and discussed and maybe talked about and get opinions across it. Basically, I like to describe it as we're kind of a picture frame, and you guys can put in whatever picture you want. And should you want to submit or you like anything that you hear, you can always contact us via either Facebook or our email at write.onair@gmail.com.
That's WRITE@gmail.com.
Say that one more time, Kylene.
That's WRITE@gmail.com.
I should have you turned on next time.
I know. I'm sorry. I think I even said that wrong, too.
No, that was my fault. So we have a Facebook page, too, that we recently got going. So go ahead and look us up on there, Writing on Air at Facebook. And I guess we'll go ahead and get right into it. So this first piece is, do you know the author? I think you know him.
Do. This is actually a friend of mine, Brandon Beaver. I actually met him auditioning for White Christmas back in 2011. So anyway, he's also a phenomenal singer as well as a writer.
Okay, so that was Brandon. All right, well, we'll get right into it.
A tribe of men. As the sun descends, our tribe gathers to commune, a tribe of men brought together by circumstances and bonded by the secrets we share here. The dust-coated blinds are drawn as we prepare to sit in each other's energy amongst the battle-stained carpet and bohemian pillows of chevron-striped mustard and blue. This is not just our home, but our school, our church, our sanctuary. Even the potted ferns around us extend their hands to be a part of what transpires here. It is here that we truly exist, where we get to shed the many layers we are forced to wear each day. As smoke from the peace pipe fills the room, drifting around us like a witch's invocation, we are transformed against a landscape of humble decor and artifacts whose importance are known only to us. One remote to rule them all, corkboard coasters that have saved many a coffee table, the Technicolor yellow-green chair given to us by the blonde bombshell next door. Our minds meld as we laugh and sing the devotions of our tribe while drinking a holy sacrament given to us by the good people at Budweiser. Once the moon reaches its pinnacle, we relieve ourselves of the need to speak. Now we rely on the images of housewives in competitive reality from the oversized plasma screen in front of us to carry us through. One by one, we leave, each making our way down to separate doors down the hall, tired but full of all the things that our community provides. A tribe of men brought together by circumstances and bonded by the secrets we share here.
I like that piece. I like the little Lord of the Rings reference in there, too. One remote to rule them all.
I really love this because, Brandon is actually just hilarious. He's got a really, really witty sense of humor. And if you didn't notice, this piece is actually very satirical. But that's what I like about it's written so well and done with the music, you almost can't even tell. It's almost like you can't even tell what he's doing until he throws in those little touch of sacrament given to us by the good people at Budweiser and the oversized plasma screen in front of us, the images of housewives in competitive reality.
Yeah.
Can we guess what they might be talking about?
Definitely not a game of some sorts, I imagine.
I would say housewives. What do you call it?
It's a really wonderful piece. I love this kind of illusion they start to build at the beginning, and then once you get to certain little phrases like one remote to rule them all, you realize that they are really, really not being serious about this.
Yeah, it does a really good job kind of bringing us in and making us feel like there's something that's about to transpire.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, they're watching reality TV. But is that not, that do you not come together in that? I don't know. I thought that was a really great way of, a play on words and images to create an atmosphere. I think they did a good job.
It really shows how much we idealize all this stuff too, like how we view these kind of sacred, quote unquote, moments. A tribe of men brought together, like it makes it both kind of exclusive and very almost like carnal, like instinctual.
I like that it's a secret that they watch these, the Real Housewives. I don't know. It's like, and it is kind of a dirty little secret, but I do enjoy the way he made it seem so ritualistic and so, this is what we do. We come together and they bond over that. I thought I don't know. I really enjoyed the piece.
As the sun descends, our tribe gathers to commune.
Right?
I like one thing I noticed when I read through this. Let me find the word here real quick. So certain words that you can use in writing.
Oh, he does such a good job in word choice.
Yeah.
I love his word choice.
Some words have like an aura around them, or like a scent, or like some sort of like
Technicolor?
Image. No, I was actually going to say decor.
Oh, decor.
Decor was the one that really, when I read it, I was like, a humble decor. It's a French word, I believe. I don't know the root for it, so
I like that he used Technicolor. That word, yeah. I felt very. I didn't feel too much in the future until he said plasma TV.
Yeah.
But I actually felt like this has been something that had been going on for a long time.
Yeah, hearing Technicolor makes me picture like an older, like 70s style living room with overstuffed couches and.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm not close enough to the mic. Apparently.
Brandon's sitting way back in the corner, and I'm cueing him. Get closer.
Kiss the mic. You got to get real close to it.
Yeah, no, it really does. Like the giant. What are those? The CRV ones, or what's the
CRT TVs.
Monitors? Yeah, the huge ones. That's what I think of when I see that, or VHSs. Yeah, it does such a good job of showing that juxtaposition of like really classy, fine, like secret. Almost like traditional, and then it kind of goes back to like throwing in Budweiser.
Yeah, I know.
There's that kind of duality where like it seems sacred, like this is what we put on it, but then it's really almost not.
I love the irony they throw in the word Budweiser. It's almost like sponsored by Budweiser, and is that not what our whole entire existence is on? Everything is sponsored by something at some point.
Yeah. And he was not being paid by it, for clarity.
That we know of.
That we know of. Hopefully not. We'll get in trouble for that later.
Nothing on the show is sponsored by Budweiser.
Yeah. Actually, I can't confirm that. I don't know, but hopefully not. Okay, well, we'll move right along to the next one, because we had a couple other pieces that we had to go to. So we'll probably touch back on you, Brandon, but thank you for submitting, and please submit some more.
Yes, fantastic. That's the first time of me actually reading his work. Usually I just read his Facebook.
Oh, wonderful.
It was entertaining on itself.
Yeah. So do you know this next author too?
I do. This is a Melissa Paddock, and she's an artist. Actually, I believe she teaches in Yuba City ? So she works at the community college as an art teacher, and she's also a very phenomenal writer.
Okay, we'll get right into it then.
Emotional sobriety, day 2. Withdrawal is the severe emotional and physical discomfort of pain of being without whatever it is you rely on to feel okay. I changed outfits at least 5 times this morning, taking clothes off and putting clothes on, like I was on a reality TV show. I have to make sure I am beautiful all of the God-loving time, or at least feel beautiful, so that I don't have to enter a room feeling inadequate or, God forbid, average, because who would love me then? Armed with my savvy, delusional self-confidence, I went to gorge myself on some peppy, clappy, cliché Christianity. I mean no disrespect. I love all those Jesus freaks. I'm one of them. But all my cynicism flared up in the face of so much hope. It was all I could do just to not snarl. Looking around at all the families and couples and young hopefuls, I can't help but feel like a 37-year-old woman whose longest relationship has been with her cat and still has no solid grasp on why, though I can see now that the problem must be me. I don't blame God or men anymore. I just don't understand why every man I've ever dated in the last 12 years has either cheated on me or flat out flirted with and checked out other random women while holding my hand at the grocery store. Am I not beautiful enough to be loved? During a quiet moment between worship songs, a little girl sitting behind me earnestly said to her parents, "Can we be loud again yet?" Well said.
I like that piece too a lot.
Oh, that's charming. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into this. I like the title, Emotional Sobriety Day 2. I feel like that's a tough thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, when I first read this piece, I really wanted to find out where day 1 was. Where did this start? Because especially the last line makes me want to know where the root of this story is. Well said. When can we be loud again?
Yeah.
What does that mean to her? Because the child's saying, when can we sing again in between these songs? But what does she mean by loud? When can I be me again? When can I be open with myself? Or what does that mean to her? When can I be loud again?
I like the ambiguity of that. I actually read the Emotional Day Sobriety, the day 1, just as powerful. But strangely, I don't recall it having the same. There's almost no connection to the two of them, which is kind of brilliant because it stands alone. Both of them stood alone. This one, for some reason, I was like, "Can you send me this?" So just because I really liked that. Can we be loud again yet? It's almost like in my head, it reminds me of reverting back to what we were like when we were kids. Can I be comfortable in my own skin again? Can I be free again?
Coming from a kid too, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool. I liked I went to gorge myself on some peppy, clappy, cliche Christianity. I don't know. Every time I go to church, I feel super judged. So I don't usually feel happy and clappy.
I feel like the mental image that comes to mind would be like a Little House on the Prairie, walking into the church like a dusty field, and she walks in. Like that's what I think of when peppy, clappy is used to describe.
I feel like when I walk into church, people can smell Satan on me.
Can you buy that perfume?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure somewhere there is a scent of Satan.
I tell you, I think I smelled that the other day, but that's...
This is going down a path I don't want it to go down for this show.
But see, this is what I like about these works, that it kind of like brought things in us that it was really like... Again, word choice for me is key. There wasn't a ton of imagery, but there was certain sensory things like... Again, that like happy, clappy Christianity. I didn't have to see the church. I didn't have to see the people, but I automatically visioned what this author was saying. And I thought that was pretty brilliant. Or the holding of a hand in a grocery store and some guy checking out some other chick. We don't see the guy, we don't see the girl, but we see them, if that makes sense. We get to make our own choice on who these people are. And it just felt like relatable on many levels.
Yeah.
Unless you're not a 37-year-old woman. I don't know, I don't know guys. Thoughts?
I like, too, the setting. I like the fact that this was put into... I think the start, she isn't at church yet, and then by the end, she's in church, and there's songs going on. I haven't been to church in a little while, but I remember the thoughts I used to have that kind of went along the lines of... I'm not a 37-year-old woman with her life experiences, but you get a little bit introspective, at least for me, and so I can kind of identify with her when I'm in church, because in between the songs they'll usually say a prayer or something, or there'll be the silence while they change instruments and stuff, and the crowd is kind of waiting, but it's not an uncomfortable one. It's more like everyone's being thoughtful. So that this kind of encapsulated that in my mind. Like that's the feeling I got when I read it.
Yeah, I like that. I love all those Jesus freaks. I'm one of them too. It was like kind of stereotyping and then going, well, kind of almost taking it back. I thought that was kind of kind of a description of himself. So I thought that was good. I was very impressed with. The first one's really good too. Maybe next time I'll have her send that one too.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good about setting up a place without giving too much detail, and I like that.
Yeah, definitely get that first one. That would be awesome. What was her name again?
That's Melissa Paddock.
thank you, Melissa, for submitting. And if you're listening, I hope you are. Please send your first one. You have our email, and I will make sure I respond to it and get it promptly on air. So this last piece we have is by A.E. Kellogg. And for anyone who's listened to some of the shows, the more recent ones, the past two shows, we didn't pair any music with the pieces because they were kind of standalone. They were short pieces from a book from Rob Davidson. Go check out his book. It's really good. And so usually what we've done before that is we pair the pieces with music. But this one didn't really feel like I couldn't find anything that would fit with it. So this is by A.E. Kellogg, and it's called A Guide to Spotting Fair Folk at Rest Stops and Other Liminal Spaces, Transitional Spaces. The description she sent along with this is a daily writing exercise. She calls it a description a day. So she describes a thing or event that happened to her in the day. And she said this piece came from a particularly exhausting car trip to and from San Francisco. And I want to have some interesting things to say on it afterwards, but we'll go ahead and read it. A guide to spotting fair folk at rest stops and other liminal spaces. Number 1. Real humans will not wear high heels on road trips. Watch for shoes that should not be able to make their way over desert sand, over dried-up pet area grass, across puddly restroom floors. Number 2. If a woman sits down with her child and a bag full of watermelon, and they don't say a word to you, they're probably safe. If you don't recognize the fruit in the Ziploc bag, it's time to run. Do not let them offer you a piece. Number 3. The plump little girl with her two friendly dogs is trying to distract you from the strangeness of her eyes. Number 4. He's the 7th person you asked for jumper cables after your battery died. Help is hard to find at 3 a.m. You spill your entire story to him, where you were, why you fell asleep with your headlights on, the names of your children sleeping in the back seat, and he nods and listens with a smile that you trust. He's tall and thin and clutches to a box in his long fingers. His voice is kind, he doesn't ask for payment, doesn't have to. Number 5. After he climbs back up into his mountain of a truck, you find a frog hopping across the parking lot. You are nowhere near a lake. And that's a guide to spotting fair folk at rest stops and other liminal spaces. So, before we have any comments on it, this is a daily description. So this was an event that happened to her, and maybe not like a summary of the entire day, but she took little parts that really stood out to her. And it really feels to me like a wonderful way to practice a style of writing, or to practice how you describe things. Because most people, when they think of, I'm going to practice my writing, they want to write a story, they want to write something that is cohesive. And all this there's no context here, other than the fact that it's a fair folk at rest stops, so that's probably what that is the only context. But there's no grounding things. It's just kind of things she's seen throughout the day. It kind of really loops together in weird ways. And it's more of an inner dialogue of her thoughts, and the way she uses it, I think, is wonderful. The fact that she really tries to pull out as much information as she can with her descriptions. I think it's such a wonderful thing to practice writing in this way.
What does fair folk mean in this? Everyday people? Everyday
people who are safe. Would be my guess. A guide to spotting fair folk at rest stops, people that you can trust. Because the first thing here says, real humans will not wear high heels on road trips. Well, that makes no sense. And then you go, wait, look for people who are practical, who wear shoes that they can walk around in and do things. So if they're, like, it's more of a joke, like real humans won't wear that because they're not on road trips.
Oh, I was going to say, I wear heels all the time, even on road trips. But I'm not human, I guess.
Well, here's the thing to me. When I think of the term fair folk, because I've been a fantasy writer for lots and lots of years, it's usually always a short description for people that are unusual, out of the ordinary, and there's lots of little, like, just sort of like out of place things in that list. Like, real humans won't wear these kinds of shoes. The lady trying to distract you from her strange eyes. This man with these long fingers clutching this box. This magical frog jumping around the parking lot. That you're nowhere near water.
Yeah, it's almost like mystical. Like, look for the real people, the people that are alive, not the people that are mystical or some type of monster or something in the background. It gives you that kind of, like, that tone to it, I suppose, would be the word for it. Yeah, it's such a fun piece, too. I like the second one is probably my favorite. If a woman sits down with her child in a bag full of watermelon and they don't say a word to you, they're probably safe. Probably people you can be comfortable with sitting on the bench. But if you don't recognize the fruit in the Ziploc bag, it's time to run. Do not let them offer you a piece. This, I've known her for a little while, and it really feels like her personality and the way she looks at the world. And that's another cool thing, too. A lot of times writers will write pieces and try not to have themselves in the piece. Like, they'll be like, I'm going to write on this that I don't know about, and then write on it. Or I'm going to write about this that I do know about, but I'm going to try to withhold my perspective as much as I can in this. This is, her piece that she wrote today is her perspective. And it's often, I wouldn't say rare, but I guess it's not too common to see like a very much straightforward, this is exactly what's going through my head right now. I like it a lot. Must be late in the evening. We all look tired.
Well, I was thinking it reminded me of Men in Black. Like, what do you look for? So. No, yeah. It was different.
Well, usually towards the end of these, we like to go back and kind of look at them again. And I guess revisit things that might have, like...
I was thinking of a kind of a theme, if we're talking about real folk. And the other two pieces, both Melissa and Brandon, are talking about reality TV. Being one of those reality TV characters. And, here A.E. Kellogg is talking about kind of the same, like, what's real and what isn't real. Everything she saw was real. Like, these are real things. They're tangible. They exist. But, quote-unquote, real humans don't do this, this, and this kind of thing. But if you look at reality TV programs, they're wearing heels, jumping in the pool kind of thing. So I think... I don't know, it's a perspective thing. Each one of these is looking at life in a different perspective. With the Brandons, it's very, spiritual. And I feel like Melissa's was kind of spiritual too, actually. They're both looking at themselves in a different way. I don't know how to explain that. I kind of blanked real quick.
It's almost introspective, and the other two are extra. Before I comment more on that, though, I segued too fast. Thank you, Anastasia, for submitting. Oh, yeah. Please submit more. You submitted so much to me. You've helped keep this show going pretty much in many, many occasions. So thank you. Sorry, I segued too fast when we started talking. I forgot to say thanks for that. Yeah, so the first two pieces seemed more like looking in a mirror in a lot of senses. And the last piece felt like looking through her eyes. Like now we're inside of her perspective and looking outward at it. And it's really funny you should say that too. Usually before the show, I do these reads cold reads, so I don't have too much impressions. That way we can kind of get the same experience that anyone who's listening in on has as well. And this time I gave the pieces to Brandon because he's just a guest on the show today. And we did a little bit of discussion on it and stuff. And he said, Kevin, whatever you do, don't find a theme. It'll be too much. It's too chaotic. You never know. Sometimes it doesn't work. And I was like, all right, cool. But what about this? And I mentioned perspective was kind of the overlying arch on it. So the fact that you came out with it and had that it feels like a perspective thing is pretty cool to me. Because that's what it feels like.
What's your thoughts?
Well, they are all perspectives, but when I was thinking about that, I listen to your show a lot, Kevin.
Right. Sometimes I reach. I'll be fair.
You do. You do.
I think it's the term is shooting from the hip. For anyone who watches westerns or anything like that.
Yeah, I really.
These are all individual perspectives of different people's lives. You have the young guy living in an apartment with a bunch of roommates. You have the older woman trying to kind of maintain normalcy for herself. And then you have this young woman just kind of describing a really strange road trip.
Yeah.
Side note, when we say older woman, it was more of a feel like a 37. It's this person is not that age. This is kind of, I forget, we got to pull the authors out of the work.
Except for this last one.
Except for the last one, yeah. So they didn't mention whether or not these were autobiographical.
Yeah.
So just as a heads up, so I believe Melissa's not 37. So
that's a good distinction.
I just thought about that. So.
Angry phone call later. Excuse me, I'm not that old.
I know. I don't know. I was trying to think about that. Some people care. So I don't know.
That is true.
Yeah, I thought they did good overall. For me, I'm just a huge image person. Usually the feel, taste, and touch, but the fact that some of these don't have that, the frog part, I really enjoy.
Yeah.
I don't know, something about that of the whole piece, that moment with the frog appealed to me the most because it was almost a moment of meditation or what do you call it? Being in the absolute now. when you stop and you see a thing in front of you and witness it as it is, to me, I thought that was a really cool moment of, being in the now.
Pops out. I think in that one, I still have to go with the watermelon in the Ziploc bag. That one gets me every time. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we've said most of what we can say about for these pieces.
I feel like we didn't get much from you. What are
your thoughts, Brendan? Go ahead and
I know, I could step on people's toes.
Recap all three again, and we're going to have you reread them.
Well, the thing is, I like all these pieces. They're all real. Yeah, they're all real different styles. We have, was it Melissa's piece?
Melissa, yes.
Melissa's piece where you can really hear the author's voice talking in your ear, and you can get this real sense of her. And then you have this piece with Brands that's kind of really that sort of spiritual feel, trying to wrap this illusion around something that's very commonplace.
Yes.
And I've read several pieces like that, and I love them, trying to make the common seem very uncommon and unnatural and strange. And I really, really love that piece. And then you have this just simple list of just minor events that you can take in so many different directions. Like, Kevin saw this as this, like, description of how to pick out, real people you can feel comfortable
around.
How to be
safe in public, essentially.
In these public areas. And to me, because I like my fantasy work, and I just latched onto that term, fair folk. I'm just picking out these tiny little differences in these people, being like, are you trying to say these people aren't human?
Oh, yeah. So the full description there is fair folk was a term used for, like, mystical creatures? Right?
Yes. Yeah. Generally.
Okay. In fiction writing?
Yes.
Cool.
I didn't even think of that.
The fair folk, it's often used for elves, the fair folk, your fairies, your sort of thing. These magical, strange
people. That's really cool. There's a lot of that kind of, I feel that feel in Brandon's.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
I really loved how I felt like I was in some place special, and then all of a sudden I'm in someone's living room.
Yeah, you get, right at the beginning, he has this really beautiful thing with the ferns outstretching their hands to join in our ritual, and it's like that really makes you feel like there's this scene, this magical scene building in this room.
Yeah, this is what I really like about Brandon's work is I should have known it was going to be somewhat satirical. I should have known that, but it was just so well brought to us and handed to us and then all of a sudden he leads us into it really subtly and really slowly, and that's such a craft. That's really, that's someone who's been writing an awful lot, took a lot of time in their work to consider each word. A lot of times you can tell when someone really stops and goes, this is the word that I need, that one's not going to work. And what I know of Brandon, I would say that's exactly kind of his ways
style.
Of work. Yeah, I just think it's brilliant. Yeah.
We're nearing the end of our show here, and I always like to go back. I was going to say, and recap these pieces again.
I was like, we just did that.
No, and really just thank the people who have helped out with submissions. We're not a big booming corporation that gets thousands of submissions, so whenever someone does submit, it's extraordinarily meaningful. And I totally blanked on what my next words were. All right, we're going. Later, guys. Yeah, I guess just thank you. This show really has the idea of... hang on, we're getting a phone call, too. Apologize for that.
I don't know why I didn't keep that conversation going just now.
I was giving you looks like, please keep talking.
I was captivated.
She's watching me answer the phone real quick.
Yes.
Man, that phone call totally threw me off. What was I saying here?
Thank you all for submitting. Thank you, Brandon and Melissa and Anastasia. We love reading your work. Submit more.
I knew I brought
lots more, please.
Well, what I'm loving is when we talk about it being a frame and people painting a picture, I love the pictures we're getting. They're all different. They're all different ways in which they want to show us a thing, and it's really neat to be able to see so many different works together. People who've never met, never seen each other, and they come up with this stuff. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for submitting, and thanks for tuning in tonight. Again, if you want to submit at all, you can email us at write.onair@gmail.com.
And I'm going to say that correctly. That is WRITE.onair@gmail.com.
That is correct. Well, Writing on Air is made possible by the generous contributions of KZFR supporters and by Harrison Daily Wright Accountancy Corporation in Chico. Harrison Daily Wright provides certified public accountants specializing in accounting and bookkeeping services, auditing, tax prep and planning, management support, services for nonprofit organizations, and more. To reach Harrison Daily Wright, call 895-1209. Have a good night, everyone. This is Writing.